Greetings from Bilmed Group of Institutions. Myself, Dr. A.B. Wani, Director CEO of Bilmed Group of Institutions. Today, we will discuss one important topic, and that is the biophysical score of uterus. It is not the biophysical score of fetus, but a biophysical score of uterus, which is very, very important when you are taking an infertile scan. Now, before this biophysical score of uterus, I would like to give you the endometrial vascularity zones. Here, we are having a zone 1. This is our endometrium over here. This endometrium, when taking in longitudinal section, we have to see the vascularity. We have to see for the vascularity. Now, these vessels, if touching the endomyo junction, will be labeled as zone 1. So what is written over here? Myometrium surrounding the endometrium will be labeled as zone 1. So we have to actually see the vascularity where it is. So here, if the vasculature is in the myometrium just touching the endomyo, that will be zone 1. But in zone 2, the hyperechoic endometrial edge is being touched. So it means that the endomyo junction is touched from everywhere. It is not just in myometrium, but the vessels are touching the endomyo junction from all sides. That will be the zone 2. And in zone 3, it is going into the endometrium. That will be zone 3. In zone 2, the vessels will not only penetrate into the endometrium, but it will touch the internal line, I mean the cavity line. So accordingly, zone 1, zone 2, zone 3 and zone 4 are labeled. This is very, very important in your infertile scan, because if you are dealing with the zone 1 and the blastocyst has dropped into the endometrial cavity, it will never make a connection with the vessels because vessels are very far. That will lead to the abortion. And the more important point is that the patient will not be aware of that she has aborted, because this will lead to the menstrual abortion. So see for your zoning. And if in this vascularity, a blastocyst will drop over here, it will easily get entrapped, and your chances of having an implantation is very, very high. So these are the vascular zones. Now coming to the biophysical score. In this biophysical score, what you have to see first the endometrial thickness. An endometrial thickness of 7 and less will be labeled as 0. So 0 points. And if it is in between 7 and 9, the score will be 2. And if it is 10 and 14, in between 10 and 14, the score will be 3. But if the endometrial thickness is more than 14, then score is not increasing but dropping. So here, make a note that the endometrial thickness, if increasing, is dropping the score. Then what you have to see, the layering. If there is no layering, you are having a thick endometrium, but without layering, the score is 0. And if the layering is hazy, then score is 1. And if you are seeing a distinct trilaminar, then the score is 3. Third point, myometrial contractions. You need to see in a cinelope the myometrial contractions. If myometrial contractions are less than 3 contractions in 2 minutes, 0. More than 3 contractions will give you a score of 3. Myometrial echogenicity, the 4th point. If coarse or heterogeneous, only 1 point. And if homogeneous, then the score is 2. Uterine artery Doppler. In this uterine artery Doppler, you can make out that the PI, if decreasing, is increasing the score. Now you can take a cinelope. You can take a snipper shot of this by pausing the video, and you can pen down all these points against what we are giving. So here the very important point is that uterine artery Doppler PI, if decreasing, the score is increasing. Then what we have to see next is the endometrial blood flow in zone 3. It is where we started the session. Recall that session. Zone 1, 2, 3, 4. Here, what we are doing? We are seeing if the endometrial blood flow is in zone 3rd, if absent, where? In zone 3rd, 0. If present in zone 3rd, 2. And if abundant, the score, the point rather, will be 5. Lastly, myometrial blood flow to internal to arcuate vessels if absent 0 and if present 2. Now see, I don't want you to take a calculator and calculate all these points, but the main important point is that at least make a clear understanding that increase in the endometrial thickness is decreasing the score. Point number 1, take home message. Point number 2, uterine artery Doppler PI, dropping PI is good for an infertile patient. And very important, the endometrial blood flows should be where? In zone 3rd. Not talking of zone 1 and zone 2nd. And if it is there in zone 3rd, what is zone 3rd now? Recall it. You can play back the, rewind the video. You can go to the zone 3rd. It is there in the endometrium. So if the blood flow is in the endometrium, then present if 2, and if abundant over there, 5. But what is important? If absent there, then score is 0. And lastly, see for this thing, myometrial blood flow to the internal vascules, internal arcuate vessels, and give the points accordingly. Then there was a long study which was conducted. I am giving you a sum up, a model of this long study which was conducted. In that study, a perfect score of 20, if everything was absolutely normal, the conception was 100%. And if the score of this biophysical score of this uterus has dropped from 20 to, in between 17 to 90, the conception was only 80. So 20% drop with a minimal drop in this score is over here. Now, if the score is in between 14 and 16, the conception chances are about half only. And if the score is 13 or less, then no pregnancy was reported. The point here is that where is your follicle over here? You all are concentrating on these follicular studies all times, but equally important is the uterus. Equally important is the receptivity. Ultimately, they implanted this blastocyst has to implant in the uterus. If the uterus is not receptive, your folliculometry is getting waste. So after folliculometry, I will say with folliculometry, take this biophysical score, because it is as if you are sowing a seed in a desert. You are having a good follicle, ruptured follicle. So that is your seed. If you are sowing that seed in a desert, that will not grow up. So you will not get the results. So you should have a fertile land to sow your seed. And your fertile land is the this uterus over here. And the fertility of that land will be calculated by the biophysical score of the uterus. So take the biophysical score in each and every infertile case. So this was a very brief of this biophysical score of uterus. If you want to go for any course, we are having server-based courses. You can contact our helpline number, or you can visit www.bilmed.net, and you can contact our executives, or you can dial the helpline number which is there in the description or in the reflected in on your screen right now. And in case you want me to discuss any topic, you can comment in the comment box. I will try to take a separate topic depending on the comments. Thank you very much.